going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Hoopers Lounge with myself and Max. We finally got some NBA basketball back. It's only preseason, but it's still basketball, and there's been some intriguing storylines and matchups that we're going to talk about. We're also going to mention the top 100 rankings that ESPN dropped, the top 100 players of the league this year, and they had some very questionable decisions, to put it lightly, without spoiling anything. That being said, let's get over to NBA preseason. We've had a couple of storylines, including how good Porzingis has looked with his new team, the Boston Celtics. The Wemby Chet matchup. Max, what's been the best part of preseason for you so far? The most exciting part?
Well, without a doubt, it was the Wemby Chet matchup. A matchup that we're going to see probably for the next 15 years. Two of the most exciting young players in the league, and it was really awesome to get to see them play against each other. I think this was their first preseason game. I could be wrong about that for each of them, but I think it was the first game for them.
Mm-hmm.
Just looking at the stats, Wembanyama, 20 points in 19 minutes. That's awesome. And where's Chet? 21 points in 16 minutes. So both of them were the leading scorers for their team that night. Yeah, that's correct. Both of them were their team's leading scorers. And they really just put on display how special they are at the forward/center position. For 7-footers to have that much skill is a cheat code, and both of those teams have very good players on their roster for the foreseeable future.
I mean, this is the future of the NBA. The 7'2", 7'3" tweeners that both of them are, who can both handle the rock, shoot it from the perimeter, and offer great rim protection on the other side of the court. There was also a moment that Wembanyama got an and one and then flexed on Chet, and there was absolutely no muscle popping out. I mean, I'm one to talk, but it seemed kind of ironic. It was kind of funny to watch. And Chet retaliated and said, "Yeah, if you headbutt me, it's pretty much unguardable." That's what he thought Wembanyama did to draw the N1. Sorry, it looks like there's a little bit of a rivalry, a little bit of unfriendliness between the two, which is, it's great for the league. It's great. It's a great storyline development. It'll make for great battles when their teams face each other. And I don't know, if this is what preseason's going to give us, I'm excited for the regular season.
Yeah, I think that after this first chapter in their rivalry, I could say, they will forever be linked to one another. Very similar to how, in my opinion, Luka and Trae Young will always be linked together because of that trade on draft night. I feel like Chet's injury, delaying him to now be part of this rookie class, will forever link him to Wembanyama. And I think that both of them have something to prove to see who's the best. And that is what makes sports great, is the personal aspect of it, trying to prove not only to yourself but to the people that watch, like, I am that guy. And both of them are going to have nights that they go off and they prove to the world how special they are, and both of them are going to have nights this year where they struggle and people call them busts. Like, that's just how a rookie season is going to go. But I love that they're already going at it in the preseason, not wasting any time. They're treating it like a real basketball game, which is really good for the NBA, because too many times the star players take nights off. So to see the young guys go at it in a preseason game is really exciting, and yeah, I'm looking forward to what they do throughout the season.
I do like what you said about their careers going to be linked, just because of the unique and similar body archetype they both have. Yeah, it is going to be a great battle. I would be absolutely shocked if another rookie besides Wemby or Chet won Rookie of the Year. I think both of them know that they are the two main consensus favorites. Maybe you can throw Scoot in there, but I don't think Scoot will be able to impact the defensive side of the ball like these two players will. So I think they know they're the favorites. They're going to be battling it out with each other. And it's going to develop a bit of a rivalry like we saw with Ben Simmons, Donovan Mitchell. How Ben Simmons was in technically his rookie year, but he missed his original rookie year due to injury. Chet now went through the same thing. Is now a rookie in his second year in the league. And it is going to be a very entertaining battle all season. I'm very excited to see it play out.
I agree, and I don't think I have anything else to add, so I just want to move on to Porzingis really quick and the Celtics. My pick to win the Eastern Conference this year, they got better since I made that prediction, adding Drew Holiday. And now, also, another bench player that's been playing really good in the preseason. Want to give a quick shout out to Peyton Pritchard. Against the
Hmm.
Sixers on
He's in balling.
October 8th, he scored 26 points on 14 shots. An extremely efficient game for Pritchard, who's kind of been in and out of the rotation his entire career, but he has the talent to be a good backup point guard in the NBA. I have no doubt about that. He can shoot the ball very well, which automatically gets you a roster spot. I think if he can clean up his defense, he could be a guy off the bench for Boston this year that contributes in the regular season, helps them win some games. So I just wanted to shout out his play. And then Porzingis obviously looks like he's been playing with the Celtics his entire career. He's such a good fit for Boston, and I'm excited to see that play out this year because I do think on paper they probably have the best roster in the NBA. Maybe it depends on actually probably Phoenix, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's close. They have one of the best rosters on paper in the NBA.
Mhm. Another story that I was intrigued by is Dallas's team losing to Real Madrid. Granted, Kyrie didn't play and Luka only played 6 minutes, but still, I don't think an NBA roster should be losing to a club roster. It definitely makes Noah Lyles' take on how we're not world champions more accurate. Real was led by former NBA guard Facundo Campazzo's 20 points and 8 assists. Um, and yeah, it's definitely not a good look for this new look Dallas roster that is supposed to contend to make Kyrie and Luka satisfied in Dallas.
Yeah, that was a shocking loss. I'm also trying to look through the scores. Didn't Washington play a team from China or from Spain or somewhere? I think Washington also played some.
Wash.
I think I could be wrong about that, but I don't think they lost. Anyway, back to the Dallas thing. I do think
Yeah.
that a team without Luka and Kyrie losing to Real Madrid scares me as a Mavericks fan. Obviously, Luka and Kyrie are going to help you win more games than not. However, let's say one of them gets hurt, or let's say one of them's having an off night, and you need someone else to step up. Who's that going to be this year? I really don't know. And them losing a preseason game to a team that is not even in the league they play in on a nightly basis is quite concerning. It's embarrassing. I know it's preseason and you're quote unquote not trying, but I mean, an NBA roster should beat those guys blindfolded.
Mhm.
That's just
It's
my
just
opinion.
Real did have a lot of they had a lot of former NBA players on their roster. I mean, I was looking through their team and I recognized a lot of the names. So they have talent, but at the same time, you are getting paid hell 8, 9 figures to play basketball on a daily basis. That's a lot more than any of the Real guys are getting paid. You should not be losing, and it's definitely
Yeah.
not a good look for Dallas, and Luke and Kyrie definitely did not like what they saw. Granted, it is only preseason, but the Washington Wizards, who you were right, they played a team from China, who also might have the worst team on paper in the league, won by a final score of 145 to 82.
Yeah. I
You know,
mean,
that's what we expect to see
uh-huh.
when these cross-continental matchups that the league
Yeah.
schedules in the preseason happen.
It's an exhibition game, and for Dallas, it's just like I said, it's just concerning to see the team not show up. By no means is their season over for this loss. The season hasn't even started, but I mean,
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
got to
it is
be.
preseason.
I don't know how that's affecting like mentally how they go into the season now, knowing they just lost to a team from Real Madrid. Also, like you said, there are a lot of former NBA players. However, there's a reason probably why they're not still in the NBA. So, I mean, those guys are obviously not in the league anymore, probably because they're, not as good as the current talent level in the NBA. So, yeah, Washington, good for you, taking care of business in an exhibition game, and Dallas is gonna have to live with that for the next probably till the regular season starts. Then they'll be okay. But
Yeah. Quick shout out to Gershon Yabusele, Zanan Musa, Eddie Tavares, Facundo Campazzo, and Mario Hezonja. Those are the 5 NBA players currently on Real's roster that beat an NBA team. So sign them, get them in
Yeah.
the league.
Um, a lot of those guys I recognize. A lot of those guys were in the league like the past 5 years. Recently leaving,
Hmm.
probably because they actually might make more money in Real Madrid than they did in the NBA. Those guys probably did
Or
not.
just playing time.
Yeah,
Some guys just want to play.
yeah, but those guys probably did not get hefty extensions after their rookie deals. To
Hmm.
be completely honest, but good for them.
Hezonja was actually a fifth overall pick at one point by the Magic back in 2014, 2015,
Yeah, he was.
and he was supposed to be good.
Yeah, he was a bust. But anyway, good
Yeah.
for them for showing up, beating Dallas, and I know that felt good for them coming back and beating an NBA team. That probably did feel good for them.
All right, let's move on to our next topic of the day. ESPN released their annual top 100 players of the NBA, and it came with some very interesting choices. First off, the most outstanding one was that reigning Finals MVP, two-time MVP Nikola Jokic was not number one on the list. They put Giannis over him instead, and even as a Bucks fan, I just don't agree with it. I don't see how you cannot put Jokic at number one. He's done everything he needs to do. He's won MVP twice, and then carried his team to a Finals win, winning Finals MVP in the process. His decline doesn't look to be happening anytime soon. He still will be able to dominate the league for the next 5 years. Denver still retains a lot of their core that he seems to be very comfortable with. And I don't understand how you cannot put this guy at number one.
I completely agree, and it's one of those things where it's like you're just overthinking the list. You're just overthinking it at that point. Like, yes, Giannis is a spectacular player, but what we saw from Jokic last season, there's no way you cannot sit here and say he's not the best player in the league. And you're just overthinking the list. You're trying to get people like us to talk about it. Oh, why would they not put Jokic at one? Because I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe it's because Giannis is like the best player on both ends of the court. Like that's like,
Yeah, but it's still
but Giannis's offensive ability
the
has declined since
yeah.
they won the finals. Like he has not gotten better. He's just the same player. Jokic gets better every single year. He gets better, and there's just no excuse for not putting him number one.
The last time we saw Giannis in action, we saw Milwaukee Bucks offense that was struggling to generate anything when they had to set up an offense, run a play from the half court in the first round series against the Miami Heat. They gave Giannis space to drive. They fouled him when he did drive, and we saw him struggle to make those free throws afterwards. That was the entire defense that Miami utilized to neutralize Giannis and the Bucks. For a player to have that sort of weakness on the offensive end, yes, Giannis is still an incredible player, one of the best defensive players in the game, one of the best slashers in the game. He can get 30 on any given night.
Mm-hmm.
But in postseason matchups against good defensive teams like the Heat, it becomes a liability. Our half-court offense becomes a liability, which is part of the reason we traded for Dame, who is a shot creator, who can get his own bucket when he needs to. But I don't understand how you can put someone with that prominent of a weakness that gets exposed nearly every year as the best player in the NBA.
I think personally they did it one for the reasons I already mentioned, but another reason is because of his physique and his athletic ability. Putting a guy who's a little more round and doesn't have a six pack at number one might not be the best image for the NBA. And like, I know Adam Silver probably doesn't care about that, the commissioner, but the people that write those articles and like the people with the ratings, they want to put Giannis on all their billboards because he's got big muscles and a six pack. Whereas Jokic is just some 9-to-5 worker who steps onto the court and literally won the championship last year. It needs to be his on the court play and not like the stereotypes built around the player per se.
Giannis is a lot more marketable for the NBA than Jokic is.
Yes.
Jokic doesn't even like the NBA.
I
He hates
know.
coming to America to play basketball. He hates it.
I know, but he's
He
so
only does it
good
for the
at
money, which I respect. Get the bag, get your awards, get your ring, and dip.
Yeah.
Jokic is gonna retire early. I feel like I don't think he's gonna play past 32, 33 years old,
No, probably
and
not.
that's gonna suck because he is a generational talent at center.
Yeah, he's gonna retire and then go ride horses in Serbia for the rest of his life. That's what he's gonna do.
And he'll have the best time of his life doing
Yes, he
so.
will, and he deserves that. He deserves to do what he wants to do. But again, like you said, number one for Jokic should be a guarantee. But I guess ESPN didn't think so.
Yeah. Another intriguing storyline in this NBA Top 100 ranking is where Wembanyama was ranked. As many of you know, Wembanyama is a rookie who hasn't played a single minute of NBA action, and yet ESPN put him at number 47. Right in between players such as Chris Middleton at 46 and LaMelo Ball at 48, ahead of other players that,
I have a couple.
frankly,
Players. Like
you have a couple.
yeah,
Yeah, go ahead and list them off.
There's literally like players that have won the finals, players that have made the All-Star rosters, players that have contributed to like playoff teams. Just three guys right here that I think I would rank over Wemby just for their like accolades, not like their skill, but number one, Draymond Green, a defensive player of the year, an NBA champion, and an All-Star, is ranked behind Victor Wembanyama. Another guy, OG Anunoby.
Well, okay, Draymond. If you had to tell me right now, because they're ranking it for this upcoming season, if you had to tell me right now between Wemby and Draymond, literally right now, I think I still would take Wemby. Draymond just a complete liability at an offense, has no offensive bag at all. Defensively, yes, he's a star, he can connect a team, but I feel like it's also Steph Curry's ability to really gravitate the court and really have the Warriors play from anywhere with his incredible three-point shooting. That makes Draymond so effective. If he wasn't any other team, I think Draymond would be even worse. So if you try to tell me right now, yes, Draymond does have a better resume, but we're ranking them right now. We're not focused on their careers. It's right now.
Yeah.
In that case, I would take Wemby over.
We have not seen Wembanyama play in an NBA game yet. We just have not. His potential is way higher than Draymond Green's. I'm not denying that. And as a Warriors fan, I get to watch Draymond Green a lot more than the average fan. He has an offensive bag. I hate when people don't say that he doesn't have one. He cannot score. He cannot score.
Layups.
Let me finish.
He misses layups.
Let me finish. He cannot score, but offense is more than scoring. He's one of the best passers for his position in the league, and that's a fact. He's a fantastic passer.
It is a fact.
And he has above average handles for his size. That is a fact. He struggles to shoot the ball.
That is something I disagree with.
He struggles to score and he struggles to shoot. I'm not going to disagree with that. But to say he has no offensive bag at all is just not true. Also, he's a great screen setter, which is an underrated part of the offense. That's all I have to say about that. I really don't want to get into an argument about Draymond Green because I know he's a memeable player and a clown figure in the NBA, but I would still take him over Wembanyama until I see Wembanyama play. Anyway, another guy I would most definitely take over Wembanyama right now is Andrew Wiggins. He's in the prime of his career.
That is true. I agree with that.
He just won a championship, and he's made an all-star roster. So that's another guy that I would
completely agree with that.
And another one, too, is OG Anunoby. One of the more underrated players in the league. He is a champion.
Agree with that, too.
I would still take him over Wembanyama right now. And there's a couple others that I didn't write down that were pretty bad. I think, like, Fred VanVleet was up there, but whatever. I mean, here, let me look I'm going to look at the list again. But what did you think about Wembanyama's ranking? I'll let you get to that.
With Wembanyama's physical tools and the skills that he already has, I do think right now that he is a top 100 player in the NBA.
Oh, yeah.
I think he is already better than some of the NBA guys. At 47, you're telling me there's only 46 guys in the league currently better than this 19-year-old is absurd. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. I don't understand. If he was ranked somewhere in the low 80s, maybe even mid to high 70s, that's reasonable. But at the end of the day, it's a 19-year-old, a rookie who's never played an NBA game, and we have him ranked ahead of multiple All-Stars. We have him ranked ahead of LaMelo Ball. That's stupid. That's stupid.
Okay, a couple other names that I'd like to mention real quick. He's ranked ahead of Zion Williamson, DeJounte Murray, Desmond Bane, Kristaps Porzingis, Rudy Gobert, which, I mean, Rudy Gobert's bad, but
Fuck Rudy Gobert. I'm a
he's
Rudy
got
Gobert hater.
he's got a
Rudy Gobert shouldn't
resume.
even be on this list.
He's
No,
got
I'm a Rudy
resume.
Gobert hater. He's not a top 100 player. He's not a top 200 player. Send him to Real Madrid.
Your boy Brook Lopez. He's ahead of Chet. He's ahead of Chet Holmgren by almost 30 slots.
And that's ridiculous.
Like Chet is number
That's
73.
insane.
Chet is 73.
They're like the same player. They are. If I had to compare Wemby to a player, it'd be Chet. There's no other
Yeah.
comparison other than Chet, and they're both rookies. And Chet is in his second year, and he bulked up. Chet might be even better than Wemby this year. What's going to happen then? Are we still going to rank Wemby ahead of him?
They have Wemby and Chet ranked ahead of Chris Paul.
Fair. I can agree with that.
You think so?
Chris Paul's on the decline of his career. He's on the decline of his career. He's going to have to take a bench role for the Warriors to succeed. I don't think you can rate someone that's going to come off the bench, that incredibly high. He is on we're rating them right now. You got to think prime Chris Paul, obviously not.
Okay.
Even
what about Tyler
even
Hero,
like Thunder.
then? Tyler Hero.
He's so underrated just because the Heat made the finals without him. But he's such a bucket. What's he ranked at? What's
79?
You cannot give me 78 players in the NBA that I'd rather have over Tyler Hero. It's terrible. This is awful.
Kyle Kuzma, who I know he plays for Washington, but Kuzma's better than both those guys right now.
Kuzma's a prototypical 3-and-D player.
Kuzma's at 86.
Are you kidding? Kuzma just dropped 26 points in 20 minutes against the Guangdong Tigers in preseason. How can he's good.
Yeah, the Wembanyama dick riding train has begun, and it's only going to get worse.
Unless he is a bust, which would suck. But yeah, the hype around this guy, it's starting to get a little too much. I understood the excitement for this guy because of the tantalizing potential he has, the mystery that he was playing overseas in France. But this is too much.
Still got to prove
he is not the 47th best player in the NBA right now.
He's not.
He's not. I
agree he's a top 100 player. He probably is a top 90, 85 player. That's about as far as I'd go.
Mm-hmm.
Putting him in the top 80 would probably be a little too much for me, and he's in the top 50. That's just gross. It's disgusting.
The position he's at is filled with borderline all-stars. Chris Middleton is one spot above him. He's a two-time all-star. LaMelo Ball's 23 years old, has already made an all-star game, and is ranked behind Wemby. So they're already putting the expectations on Wemby to be a all-star caliber player, a number one offense for the San Antonio Spurs as a rookie. Yes, he has incredible potential, but that is not the player he is right now. You can't rank a guy off potential. You're ranking him off where he is in the season right now. And maybe ESPN just didn't get the point of their own article. They designed this activity and they still don't get it. Stupid.
Yeah, well, they're getting us to talk about it, so I guess that's one thing. Anything else you want to talk about in the top 100 list?
One more thing I didn't want to mention is ESPN ranked SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, above both LeBron and Anthony Davis. I have been very high on the Thunder this offseason. With that being said, LeBron James is better than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. How is this even a talk? This is ESPN we're talking about. They meet and ride LeBron every single day. They live, breathe, and die LeBron James. They post what he eats for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They have cameras on him and his children and his wife at all times. How is SGA ranked above him? Like, what?
The people that wrote this list quite literally get their paychecks from talking about LeBron. They quite literally put food on the dinner table at night for talking about LeBron 24/7, 365. And they put Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who, like you said, is a fantastic player, not taking anything away from him. But he's not LeBron James. Now, the other guy you mentioned was Anthony Davis. You could argue he's better than Anthony Davis. I'll hear you out on that.
A healthy Anthony Davis, I would say, is a top 10 player.
Yeah, I
His
agree.
only issue throughout his career has been availability. For availability, I mean, that's why Zion was ranked so low as well. Availability is the best ability. If you want to help your team, you need to show up on the court, and AD has not shown that he can do that consistently. That is why he is ranked higher. If you could get a healthy AD for 90% of the season, he'd probably have an MVP right now.
Yeah, 100%. But back to SGA and LeBron, like that's just I am not the biggest LeBron fan. I've usually hated LeBron, but I've tended to like him more the last couple years because people think he's like washed, and he's just not. He's just old and slow and can't jump as high as he used to 20 years ago. But he's still good at basketball, and he still could be on any given season the best player in the league. So let's just stop the blasphemy that is putting LeBron behind SGA. Let's just stop that right now.
All right. We've hit crunch time for the week, and to continue the theme of ESPN ranking their players, me and Max went ahead and ranked our top 10 players of the year. So, Max, I'll let you start us off.
Okay.
Let's hear your top 10.
Should I start from 1 or should I start from 10?
Start with 10. Start with 10.
Okay. Number 10, Jimmy Butler. I'm just going to go through the list, and then we'll explain it at the end, I guess, if you have any disagreements.
All right.
Number 9, Damian Lillard. Number 8, Devin Booker. Number 7, Jason Tatum. Number 6, LeBron James. Number 5, Kevin Durant. Number 4, Luka. Number 3, Giannis. Number 2, Steph Curry. Number 1, Jokic. Thoughts?
You left off Joel Embiid.
Yeah, I know.
Oh!
Yeah, I know.
You are telling me Joel Embiid is not a current top 10 player.
No.
Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
What?
Yes.
This might be the worst take I've ever heard in my life. Joel, you're saying Joel isn't top 10? He just won MVP. He just won MVP. He is the reigning MVP.
Okay. Before you yell at me with the MVP, we both know he shouldn't have won the MVP last year. Okay, we both
agreed, but still.
Okay, so yes, don't use that as a point against me for Embiid when you know he shouldn't have won the MVP.
Fine. New point. He won the goddamn scoring title as a center.
Good for him. The players that are the best in this league, in my opinion, are the guys that show up when it matters. Joel Embiid has not done jack shit in the playoffs, as far as I'm concerned. Okay? All of these guys have proven to me in the postseason that they can show up and win. All 10 of them have shown me something in the postseason when their team needed them most. Damian Lillard has made the conference finals. Jimmy Butler's made the NBA finals.
Every player listed has at least made the conference finals.
Devin Booker made the finals. Tatum made the finals. Bron, he's better than Embiid. KD, better than Embiid. Luka, better than Embiid. Giannis, better than Embiid. Curry, better than Embiid. Jokic, better than Embiid. Like, literally every player on this list has made it farther in the playoffs than Embiid. Yes, he's a great regular season player. He's a great center. He's the second best center in the league. I get all that. He's great on defense, too. The Philadelphia 76ers, though, are thinking about trading Joel Embiid. Do you understand that? They don't think they can win with Joel Embiid.
Talk.
They don't think they can win with Joel Embiid. So you're telling me he's a top 10 player in the league? No.
I have him top 5 in my list.
5?
Embiid is one of the best two-way players in the NBA. He just led their team. He just led the league in scoring as a 7-foot big man who's also at the same time one of the best defensive centers in the league. Yes, his success hasn't translated to the postseason. I think that's just as much to blame on the coaching staff and the team they've built around him than Embiid himself. I mean, Embiid obviously does deserve some blame. He has disappeared in big moments. So have players like James Harden. They were ranked top 10 for a while. Chris Paul. He was a top 10 player for a while. I mean, and Embiid is still young. I think he's 27. He's just 27, 28. He's just now entering his prime. He still has plenty of years to either wait for the 76ers to get the right pieces around him or go to a team that does. Regardless, Embiid is a player that any team in the NBA would add in a heartbeat if they could. That is a top 10 player. You don't take any, unless you're the Denver Nuggets and you have Jokic and you're content with that. Other than that, every single team in the NBA would beat if given the chance. That is. Well, I couldn't even focus on the rest of your list because that was just you started listing off players, then you had three that on my list. I was like, okay, you're gonna have one of these higher up guys off, and I was just trying to focus on who that was. And when I realized it was Embiid, I was like, wow, that was
It's Embiid.
interesting take, to say the least.
It's Embiid.
Interesting
and
take.
also, when you talk about bad coaching, he has the same coaching staff for a full season. So that same coaching staff that helped him lead the league in scoring and win the MVP was the same coaching staff when they sucked ass in the playoffs. So that, to me, coaching matters, I agree. But to say that coaching only matters in the postseason is bullshit. That's bullshit. It matters all season.
Well, I mean, the Bucks were the number one seed in the NBA, lost in the first round, and then proceeded to fire their head coach. Regular season was not included at all in that. They weren't focusing on, we were the best team in the regular season in the Eastern Conference. No, they're not playing through their decision. Their decision was, we got out early in the playoffs. We need a new coach that won't have that happen again.
You just proved my point that playoffs matter more than the regular season, which is why I don't have Embiid off the list. That's why I have him off the list.
I thought you said the opposite. Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought you said the opposite. You're right.
You just proved my point for me with another example, but thank you. Embiid's a great player. Like, I'm not taking anything away from him. But if I'm
top 10 in the league,
if I were to start a team that I think and I want to win a championship, obviously that's the goal of every team. I'm taking all 10 of these guys before I take Embiid. That's literally my thought process. I'm not saying Embiid is not like as good as these guys, but there's 6 of these guys on this list that are definitely better than him, and then the other 4 I could argue. So, like, it's not like I put some random player better than Embiid. Like, all these guys, in my opinion, deserve a top 10 spot in the league, and that's from their full season accolades. That's where I'm coming from. All right, let's get to your list. Yeah, let's get to your list.
Yeah, I want to hear what people have to say about that. Embiid not top 10 is absurd. All right, and number 10, I have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Number 9, Devin Booker. Number 8, Jason Tatum. Number 7, LeBron James. Number 6, Steph Curry. Number 5, Joel Embiid. Number 4, Kevin Durant. Number 3, Luka Doncic. Number 2, Giannis. And number 1, Jokic.
Okay. I'll give my thoughts on this real quick. I'm not going to talk about Embiid because we just talked about him for 5 minutes. You replaced Dame, or I had Dame, you had Shai. I'm fine with that. Shai's awesome. He's very good. I feel like they could go either way as the 3rd best guard in the league right now. So I have no problem with Shai in there. And then I also had Jimmy, and you had Embiid. So that would be, if I were to take one player off my list, it would probably be Jimmy Butler, and he was my 10th slot. So other than that, we had the same 8 players, just in a different order. And you put the one that sticks out to me as a Warriors fan is Steph Curry at 6. I had him at 2. That's the biggest discrepancy in our list. Is I had him at 2, you had him at 6. Can you read the names that you put over Steph again?
Joel Embiid, Kevin Durant, Luka Doncic, Giannis, and Jokic.
Okay. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. 4 of those 5 names, I would hear you out as better than Steph. The one that I wouldn't is Embiid, obviously, but for reasons we already discussed, I won't get into that. The other one, though, is I think Luka Doncic is spectacular. But the one thing that he does not do, as well as Steph Curry, is make the players around him as good as Steph makes the players around him, in my opinion. Luka Doncic is a more, I don't want to say ISO player because he's such a fantastic passer and playmaker that I don't want to say he's an ISO heavy player. But when Luka does not have the ball in his hands, what does he contribute to the team?
Good point. Not really much. He's like a James Harden type player when James Harden was at the Rockets.
Yeah, I agree. And like James Harden with the Rockets was amazing. He was awesome. Luka is awesome. He obviously helps the team win in multiple ways, and he's special. But to have him over a guy that quite literally
Steph is the best off-ball player in the league.
The other four players, that is why I think Steph would be better than Luka. Giannis and Jokic, I'm not going to argue why Steph is better than them because they're the top three players in the league, in my opinion. And every year it's going to change 1, 2, 3. So that's just my opinion. And then KD's just a little older. Steph's old too, but KD's just a little older. And I feel like he's similar to Luka, where if he does not have the ball in his hands, he at least contributes defensively. Which is something that I think you could argue over Steph and Luka. Is KD is a significantly better defender than both of them. So you could argue that. But Embiid, for obvious reasons that we already talked about, and then Luka would be the only other guy that I would not have over Steph for that reason.
That was a good Steph argument. You sold me. I'll put Steph over Embiid. And I will put him over KD because, like I said earlier, availability is the best ability, and KD has had a very prominent injury history. I'll put Steph at 4. That was a really good argument. Steph, I agree, is the best off-ball player in the NBA. He doesn't need the ball in his hands to be an impact on the court. He's running around, moving into open space constantly, and if you're defending him, you are in hell for 48 minutes because you are just sprinting around this guy who has an insane cardio, who will just. And you can't let him get an inch of space, because if he does, that's 3 points on the board for Golden State.
Yeah. So that's one of the things.
It's changed the game offensively. Mm-hmm. I will give you that. Great. It was a great argument for Steph.
People always talk about Steph's shooting that makes him great, and in my opinion, it's his off-the-ball movement that makes him great. He is the hardest player in the league to guard because you have to guard him every second of every possession. It's not like, okay, Steph, sitting in the corner, doesn't have the ball this possession. Yeah, so I would put him a little higher than 6. I think that's a little disrespectful.
I can get down with that. I'll keep him at 4.
Yeah, that's respectable. That's respectable.
I still think Luka, Giannis, Jokic are all better than him. But I'll put Steph at 4. That was a great argument.
I can get down with that. The rest of your list, though, was, I thought, spot on. Other than Embiid, that's going to be the talk of this podcast is Joel Embiid.
That was an unbelievable take.
Is Embiid
unbelievable
top 10?
Take.
Is Embiid top 10? We will see. But yeah, that's it for today's episode, y'all. Thanks for listening. Check out the Instagram and TikTok, because I'm sure we'll have something from this episode up there. And we'll see you guys next week.
Peace.
Peace.